Hello everyone on YouTube and welcome to a new 3D Artcore tutorial. This time we are going to learn how to use the new modeling kit we got with Maya 2014. So for most of you it doesn't really concern you because you're probably still using other versions of Maya, but for those who already updated their Maya version, so you probably do want to get familiar with this modeling toolkit. But let me first say that I'm not really expert on using this modeling toolkit. I just know a few basic things that I want to deliver to you. So you have some kind of basic knowledge about this modeling toolkit, and that you will know how to operate it. The main thing is to get to know the keys that you're going to use in order to operate this modeling toolkit, and this is what we're going to focus on. Okay. Also, do me a favor. Maybe in some way in the progress I will get stuck or something. Some things are not really all the way clear for me about this modeling toolkit, and I find myself fighting with this in order to operate it. But after all this explanation, we can basically start. So two things, as in usual for me. When I'm starting modeling in Maya, I'm first going over shading and tick the smooth wireframe in order to make the wireframes and everything in the scene, in the work area, look smoother. So basically look at those grid lines, and if I will turn it off, they okay, it's not a good example. Let's just bring in cube. Okay, so you can see the cube has like broken lines. It looks like it's broken, and when I'm just clicking it, they all become straight. But if I will rotate, they probably will look they look quite nice. Never mind. Press 5 to get shader on this cube. Also, the second thing is go over create polygon primitives and make sure that the interactive creation is ticked off. Okay, so for example, the exit on completion is marked with V, which means it's on. Okay, so you just need to tick it once again to remove this V sign. So just do it to interactive creation. So whenever you choose one of those here at the polygons tab, one of those shapes, it will immediately will be added to the scene. So let's say I'm clicking this sphere, and you can see it appears here with the default setting. So let's delete this, and let's bring in this cube, move it over here, and also let's bring a plane, okay, and scale it a bit, so we will have something to work with this modeling toolkit. So the modeling toolkit appears here next to the attribute editor, and you need to click on it in order to open it, and then you will have this new menu here, and also it's been added as a tab, so you can switch between those tabs. Okay, whatever tab you opened here, they will appear here on the side, except the tool setting. Okay, and you can switch them like that, or just by clicking those once or twice. So we are focusing on the modeling toolkit, which you can turn it on or off. Okay, it's not something that you must work with. You can click here to turn it on, and then you will get this blue highlights, and over here also, just so it will indicate that right now you are modeling in this mode. okay, with the modeling toolkit. You have the options here, which you can tell to Maya to auto-activate modeling toolkit, and also you can choose to deactivate or activate from this menu here. This feature is the same as this button here, okay? Now, the modeling toolkit preferences, it's just another add-on to the preferences of Maya. You have many other features that you can change and adjust for your own convenience. I'm not going to touch this right now. Doesn't really matter right now to understand all those, but just so you will be aware that they are there. And let's bring in back the modeling toolkit. Now we are going to start with those multi-components we have here, which those are the vertices, edges, and faces. All those three kinds of forms that we can use in order to reshape the object that we work with. Now we have the edge, which I want to start with, and the edge, if you click on it and you make sure that peak mercury is ticked on, okay, so whenever I will choose this one, or by the way, I'm on the move tool, so you can still use the Q, W, E, R keys in order to switch in between them, which is those here, okay? So if I will click the Q, you see it brings me to the selection tool. If I'm clicking the W, it will switch to this, and you can do this with your mouse, okay? But let's stay with the selection tool and the edge turn on, okay? So if I will click this edge, you can see I can select them. Also, if I will hold down the shift, you can select multiple of those edges, and that's nice, okay? Now you can choose to raycast, and that means that you don't need to hold down the shift when you want to choose edges. You can just think about this as a brush, and you click and hold the left mouse key and you start picking or drawing the edges you like to select, okay, that way. Now if you will release, it will select them, and now if you want to add to selection, you must click, hold down the shift, okay, and start select, click left mouse click, hold and start the drawing. You can release the shift and keep on drawing, and this will add to the selection, okay? So the shift does come handy when you want to add to selection. Also, what's nice about this is that whenever you want to switch to face mode, you can click on here, okay, and then everything is apparently unselected, and you can start drawing. Remember, we are still using the raycast, not the peak mercury, so you can draw, release, shift, and start drawing again and release the shift, and it will add to your selection. But if you will switch back to edges here, the edges that you've been selected earlier, which are not the faces, by the way, okay, so you can see the faces are here and the edges selection is here. So Maya memorize it, and you can anytime switch back to whatever selection you preferred and work with it. Now let's say, for instance, we are on face selection and we selected those faces but we don't want to use them as faces, we want to use them as vertices. So what you need to do is hold down the control, click on vertices here, and it will convert those faces selection into the vertices that they were built from, okay? I just zoom in so you can see it better, okay? Now I think that it's also for the faces and edges, like if you select these faces, and you want to control, choose the edges, it will just select those edges of the faces. Okay, so this is really nice. And let's bring it back to pick Mercury. Okay, and let's try to do something with the cube right now. Okay, now I want to introduce you the bevel and how you need to work with it. So if I'm choosing this, okay, by the way, I'm still on selection, not move, not scale, not rotate, not scale. I'm on the selection, which is the Q key on your keyboard. I'm selecting this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge. And I want to bevel it, okay? So you can click bevel, and it will immediately bevel it. Now your mouse cursor will appear as these two right and left arrows. Means that you can click, left click your mouse, hold and drag, and right now we are controlling the offset, okay? Now pay attention that for each one of those mesh editing tools, you have underneath it, you have the options for each one of those. So if I will switch to extrude, you will get the extrude options. If I will be on the bevel, you will have the bevel options. And basically this is all what you need. You need the segments and the offset in order to determine how this bevel will be, okay? So right now I'm on the offset, okay? And of course you don't really want to use these, come over here and click those. So the hotkeys for using those three options is hold down the Control Shift, okay? Right click, and you can just choose between them. You can reset them, you can offset, choose the offset, and you can add more segments. Right now we are on offset, so we can say that we want to click, drag, and make sure that this offset is like that. Control Shift, right click, choose segments, and then left click on your mouse and drag right or left to add more segments. And you can also go over reset setting, and it will reset itself. Okay, so this is how it works. It's also worked the same for the extrude. You can switch to extrude. Now we want to be on the selection tool, so tap Q, and we want to extrude faces. Okay, we don't want to extrude edge right now, we want to extrude face. So you switch to face, which you see we have a hotkey for it, which is F11. For the edges we have F10, and for the vertices F9. So we choose faces and selection tool, and if we will select this and we click on extrude, now we can, your mouse cursor will turn into the same left and right arrows, okay? And you can click and drag it once and release, and if you click and drag again, it will basically just give you the opportunity to set it, to adjust it to other scale or whatever, okay? Now if you tap on Shift and left mouse click and drag, it will create another session of extrude, and you can extrude it once again. So you can just tap on Shift, click on Shift, hold and drag, and this is what it will do. You can switch to selection tool by hitting the Q, and then choose this, Shift select this one, and then extrude it again. And it will use the same setting that you already used, but you can always go over Control Shift, right click and choose reset setting, and it will reset it back to normal, and you can adjust it as you like. But the nice thing about this, by the way, these are the options down here, okay? So you have division, local Z, offset, and keep faces together. So keep faces together become more handy because you don't need to go over edit mesh and make sure that your keep faces together is switched on or off. You can always know what is the okay, forgot the word. So basically you just know if it works or not, and that way you won't make any mistakes when you extrude things. Now let's say we hold down the Control Shift, right click, choose offset, and basically what you can do is hold down the Shift and choose to offset it like so. Okay, there is another way without bringing it up. Okay, I will try to explain this. Let's say I'm picking this face, okay, Q for selection tool, picking this face, click extrude. I want to reset the setting, okay, but you can also Control Shift, right click and choose reset setting, but I want to switch to offset, okay. Now the extrusion is already applied, so I just want to make sure I'm doing a flat extrusion like so. Okay, so this is how you do it. You just switch immediately to offset after you reset the setting if you need it, and this is how you do it. Now let's say we want to extrude it up, Control Shift, right click, local Z, and just hold down the Shift and left click, drag it to left or right, in which direction you prefer. Okay. So this is pretty much it. Again, you have the raycast, which can give you just a little bit hard time if you don't know how to use it, but you see I can choose all those faces at the same time, click extrude. It will already extrude it to the last settings I used, so set the setting and then you can manually choose whatever you want to do with it. Offset, okay. Now offset after extrusion like this, it won't give you the same thing as I've done here, because it immediately gives you the opportunity to offset it. So basically what you need to do is first go over Shift, okay, click Shift and okay, sorry, click Shift, click once, and then we are still on, we are not on offset, so this is why. It's a little bit tricky. Let's try it all over again. Local Z to extrude it there, okay, and then Control Shift, right click, choose offset and Shift to extrude it. No. Okay, it's a little bit strange. I'm trying to make it to make sure it's flat and it's not doing this correctly. So let's try local Z, Shift once, and then switch to the offset, and then it will. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. You just need to Control Shift, right click, local Z, and then you extrude it, and then you click Shift again, and one click on your mouse. Okay, one click. Don't do anything. Don't move. Don't drag, and then Control Shift again. Choose the offset, and you will have the opportunity to offset it that way. Okay, so yeah, it takes time to get used to it. It's not really easy for beginners, but I'm sure that with time you will get much more skilled with this one. And of course we have other things here which prefer for this tutorial not to get into, because I don't want to mess you around with other options and, you know, forget those things. Just try to practice what you learned here, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I hope I will add one more part for it, and that's it for now. So have a nice day, and see you soon with new tutorials, and that's it. Bye.